Hi, this is a video about rounding numbers, or as we refer to in class, kind of ballpark estimates, I suppose, if you want to go that route. So ballpark estimates, as we call them, are kind of on about the answer that we're looking for. It's not a precise answer, and there's some rules that we have to follow when we look for ballpark estimates. Now, before we actually get into getting some ballpark estimates, I want you to think for a second, why should you round numbers in math? Well, sometimes rounding numbers, or make them more friendly, as I say, that means numbers that end in a 0 or a 5, are generally easier to work with. Our brains like to work with them a little bit more because they're kind of more friendly, familiar numbers. Sometimes we don't need a spot-on answer if maybe we have to estimate about how much money we're going to spend. So we don't always need an exact answer. Also, rounding our work or getting kind of an estimate can help us when we're checking our work to see if we have about the right answer, or even before we solve our work to see about how much we should end up with in an answer. So here's one of our rules that we talk about when rounding. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, you hit the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you climb the vine. So what this means is when you are looking at a number to decide if you are going to round up or down, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, hit the floor means that you're going to go down to the closest number that ends in 0. We'll show you an example in a moment. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you're going to climb the vine. You're going to go up to the closest number that ends in 0. So here's an example. Let's take a look at the number 63. All right, and we want to figure out if we had to round this number, what would we round it to? Well, we are going to look at the ones digit, which you can see is a 3 in the ones digit. So that's going to be the digit that tells us whether we're going to be rounding down or rounding up. So we notice that it's a 3, and if we follow our rules, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, hit the floor, the 3 falls in that category. So that means that we are going to go down to the closest number ending in 0, which you might guess is 60. So when we round 63, we would round it down to the number 60. And you can see how 60 ends in a nice 0. It's a nice and usually pretty easy number for us to work with. Let's try another one. How about the number 37? We want to round this number to a nice, even, and friendly number. So, once again, we're going to look at the number 7 in the ones digit here because we're going to be figuring out how to round this number. And if we look at our rules, the 7 falls within 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, climb the vine. So that means that we are going to go up. We're going to climb that vine up to the closest number that ends in 0. So, that means that 37 would be rounded to 40. 40 ends in the 0. It's the closest number up that ends in 0. Here's another example for you. What happens when you want to round the number 468? There's a couple things you could do with this. One, you could look at the 8 and round it up to 470. That is an option. However, if you want to work with all nice even 0 numbers, let's go ahead and take a look at the tens place this time. We can see that the 6 is in the tens place. So according to our rules, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, climb the vine. The 6 would be in that group. So that means that we are going to go up to the closest number ending in 0. So that means that we are going to bump it up to 700. So this can be really handy when you are ballparking, if you will, estimates when adding or subtracting. Here's another example for you. What happens if we have the numbers 42 plus 89? We can certainly solve this, but what happens if we want to make kind of a ballpark estimate first about what should we see our answer to be? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at our ones digits since we're going to round both of these numbers. We have a 2 and a 9. The 2 would fall within the hit the floor category, so 42 would be rounded to the number 40. Meanwhile, 89, the 9 in the ones place, falls in the climb the vine category, so that means that 89 will be rounded up to the number 90. That means if we were to solve 40 plus 90, we would end up with 130. So we should expect our answer, if we were to solve 42 plus 89, to be about, roughly estimating, a ballpark estimate, about 130.